y'all. Welcome back to Falling in Love with Hope K. I'm going to get straight into the video because I'm recording this before church. And today's video, we're going to talk about sabotage. And a video that I recently watched that made me want to do this on sabotage is Just Witty on Instagram recently posted that she got married. And she's been married for a couple of months and she just hadn't revealed it yet. And so I watched her video on the Dear Future Wifey podcast and it was so freaking relatable. I feel like this lady is very relatable for me. One, because she's kind of quirky and weird and honestly a bit corny. And I really feel like we share similar personality traits. And one of my sisters is always sending me her stuff like, girl, this is you, this is you, this is you. So I'm like, this lady really act just like me. And then she's been single for a while, if you've been following her journey. And I would be in her comment section and people would be saying things like, oh, this woman is so beautiful. She's so funny. She so this. Why she's still single? Something must be wrong with her because she's still single. And it turns out she was just being patient, waiting for the man that she really wanted. And that's what she got. So I feel like the video overall was very encouraging as far as not feeling like you have to change your standards or not feeling like you have to jump at the first opportunity at a relationship just because you've been single for a while or just because, someone is showing interest. It doesn't mean that you have to choose them. And one thing that she talks about in the video is how she almost sabotaged the relationship. And there would be moments where she just didn't feel like she kind of felt like things were too good to be true. And there was one instance where they talked about in the video where I believe that they were engaged or about to get engaged already. And she basically said to him, if you want to choose somebody else, you can. And she was basically releasing him from the relationship, even though they had already made plans to be married to each other. And I know that a lot of people do this. A lot of people get into these situations and they start to get closer and closer and closer to what they've been praying for. And they get scared. And I don't think it's always that someone is intentionally sabotaging a relationship or opportunity. But you kind of get into that fight or flight mode. And you're feeling this is scary, even though I prayed for this, even though this is something that I wanted. I don't think I necessarily anticipated the anxiety and the fear and the doubts that would come with this. So fight or flight, fighting means I want to stay in it and I'm going to push through my fears. I'm going to push through my anxieties because this is something that I want and this is something that I believe that I deserve. So I'm going to keep fighting. And flight would be abort, 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 abort. I'm out of here. I'm in over my head. What was I thinking? This is too good to be true. I know the other shoe is going to drop. I know there are people who do this. I've been guilty of doing this before. And I just want to encourage everybody that, one, what you're looking for is not impossible. What you're looking for is attainable. And I think when you have been waiting for something for so long, especially a relationship, sometimes we negatively cope with not having a relationship yet by telling ourselves that it's just not out here. It's just not meant to be. And there's a difference between being content with where you are and lying to yourself and trying to convince yourself that what you want is not possible. And then when you do get it, it's kind of like a shocker to you. It's like a shock to the system because you have convinced yourself that this thing that you want is too good to be true or not likely to happen. So then when you get it, you don't know how to really handle it because you haven't been feeding your mind with when this happens, this is how I'm going to prepare for it. You've been feeding your mind, this is never going to happen. And we do that a lot of times as a defense mechanism because if I tell myself that it's not going to happen, when it does happen, then I can be excited and happy. But if it doesn't happen, then I won't be disappointed. So I actually want to encourage people to stop doing that. That doesn't show that you have faith at all that you're going to receive what you're asking for. You have to truly believe that it's going to happen. And yes, be patient. Yes, be content where you are. But don't downplay your desires, or don't feed yourself, oh, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. Another reason why we may sabotage in relationships is because we don't feel like we're good enough for what we're asking for. And in my poetry book, I kind of walk you through my own feelings of inadequacy and lack of self-worth and lack of self-esteem. And when you are dealing with those feelings, when you do get what you're asking for, you do get a relationship where the person is pouring into you, it can feel like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this for me? You don't have to do this for me. I don't need you to do this for me. Because self-consciously, you don't feel like you deserve it. So it feels uncomfortable to allow someone to love you in that way. And then the last reason I would say could be trust issues. I think what she mentioned in her video was just, you compare it to how things have gone in the past and you start to get scared. You start to think, well, what if they decide they don't want this anymore? What if they start to get cold feet? What if they just don't want to do this anymore? So you try to leave before they can leave, before they can hurt you. You want to hurt them first. But you can do that and you end up sabotaging something and they had no intentions of leaving you. So it really does take a lot of serious vulnerability getting into relationships after being single for a long time. I saw this meme not too long ago and it was saying, I'm in that stage of my singleness where I'm afraid for someone to come in and disrupt my peace. So you want to be comfortable in your singleness. You want to be content in your singleness, but you don't want to get yourself into the mindset that what I'm praying for, what I'm asking for, what I'm looking for, if I get it, it's going to mess up all the progress that I have made being happy by myself. Because if you're making the progress that you think you're making, not to say that relationships won't be without conflict or without issue, but the kind of issues and the disturbance of your peace that you're used to from past traumatic situations, this new situation is not going to be like this. Because even though you're single and even though you're waiting, you are refining what you're looking for. You're refining how you date. You're refining how you show up. So that relationship is going to be a reflection of the work that you have done and a reflection of how you have shown up and a reflection of how you have loved yourself, so that you don't have to walk in with that fear and anxiety. What if they do this? What if they do this? What if they do that? We already are learning how to vet that out. We're already learning how to not project that into our own relationships. So be content in your singleness, but don't have the posture of, no, can't nobody come in here, can't nobody be in my space, because that's what you're going to give off. You're not going to give off that you're open and that you're available. You're going to give, you're closed off, you don't want to be bothered. You don't need nothing from no man. If you don't need nothing from no man or need nothing from no woman, then what you get in a relationship for? And that's a question that you should ask yourself. Why do you want to be with this person? Is this person going to be your emotional support animal, or somebody that you can, lay on the couch with and watch TV when you don't want to be alone? Or do you truly want to be in relationship with someone? Do you truly want to love someone? Do you truly want to go through life with someone? Do you want to build with someone? Or do you just want somebody to come in, sit down, and shut up like a stuffed animal? So when we're thinking about moving into the next season, moving to relationships, don't sabotage it. Don't have imposter syndrome in your relationship. This man is too good, or this woman is too good. And I've seen that. And I see men get with these women that are terrible. And I'm just thinking, this is such a good man. How did he end up with this girl? This girl is terrible. But it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. They sabotaged the situation with the good girl because she was too good to be true. She was too good for him. He didn't feel worthy of her. So he went and got with a woman who was a direct reflection of what he feels like. I've seen women leave guys who are great guys or turn down great guys, and then they end up with, and I'm like, girl, this is what you went out and got. This is what you went out and got. Why? And I've been in that situation too. And I'm just like, if I told y'all some of the people that I have dated, y'all would be like, no, why you do that? So don't sabotage. Don't sabotage. And when you're in the thick of the relationship, like Whitney, and you this close to what you've been looking for, when you decided and you thinking about, maybe I'm making the wrong decision, maybe this is going to end this way, this is going to end this way, replace those thoughts with positive thoughts. Because at the end of the day, the language that you speak in your sabotage, it's not like these are things that are actually happening. It's not like, a flip has switched and the person is acting different. The person is acting the same way they've been acting the whole time. Now you have just introduced different intrusive thoughts. So think about those thoughts that you're having before you decide, I don't want to be with you, I don't want to be with you, I changed my mind. What are the thoughts that you're having? And are those thoughts really reality? And if those are thoughts that you're coming up with in your own mind and your own self-conscious, subconscious, you can combat those thoughts with other thoughts. Those thoughts don't have to rule you. If those thoughts aren't built in reality, you have the power to change those thoughts. So for my Christian girlies and my Christian guys, we always talk about renewing our mind, renewing our mind, renewing our mind. When you feel like you're walking into a place where you're sabotaging what you have prayed for, renew your mind. When you're not feeling worthy, preach worthiness to yourself. When you feel like this is too good to be true, remember that the Lord has promised to give you exceeding abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. So if it's feeling too good to be true, then it might be one of those exceeding abundantly type of situations. It feels too good to be true because you could have never thought or imagined this to happen for you. And that's okay. It's not our job to foreshadow everything that the Lord is going to do in our lives. It's not our job to try to dictate or determine how the Lord is going to move. And when the Lord surprises you, don't run away from it. Run towards it. Even though it's scary, the same God who allowed you to get into the situation, who allowed you that blessing, is also going to be the same God to see you through that situation. So don't run away. Don't self-sabotage. And y'all know I always got a story for something. So I was in a situation with someone who sabotaged our relationship. We had, all couples go through ups and downs. And we look, we sat down, had our business meeting. Are we going to work on this? Is this something that we want to do? And if we want to do it, are we going to do it? And we said we was going to do it. And I'm thinking everything's gravy, things going well. Then one day they called me and they're like, hey, call me when you get home from church. We need to talk. I said, he about to break up with me. So I'm at church, praise the Lord. Let me get my praising on. Get home, call him. Hey, how was church? It was great. What you want to talk about? I think we should break up. Okay. Because I already knew it was coming. And the reason why they wanted to break up is because they thought that I was going to break up with him first. Huge loss. Huge loss. And I had told that person, because breakups, y'all be breaking up, making up. I said, look, if we break up again, this is the end. I'm not giving you another chance. We're not getting back together. It's over. So they said they wanted to break up because they thought I was going to break up with them first. I had no intentions of breaking up with them. They broke up with me. They wanted to get back together. I said no. And that was hard. And in my heart, I'm like, I really want to get back with this person. I'm really going to give them another chance. And I had every intention of actually giving them another chance. But I didn't want to wait and see what was going to happen. And they ended up doing some things and betraying me in some different ways. So that was God's protection anyway. But in that situation, you may be thinking, Brittany, if it was God's protection, how did he sabotage? How did he do this? The renewing of the mind. The renewing of the mind. Because in those kind of situations, you have a choice. You get to choose the red pill or the blue pill. When those thoughts come, when those feelings come, when those insecurities come, you can combat them and renew your mind, and you can say, you know what? This person has shown me this, and this. We can make it through this. I know that I want to be with this person. Let me fight for this. Let me work through this. Because you never know. You might sabotage it and then think you can come back, and you can't. And then you go into a downward spiral and your own feelings and your own frustration, and you can ruin something. So yes, it was good for me that I got out of the situation because I didn't get hurt anymore. But it wasn't good for that person that they didn't, work through their issues and their insecurities, because, I'm not one of those person that say every man who lost me fumble, 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 fumble. But I am a pretty good partner. I'm gonna just put it that way. And I ain't gonna get into too much of, what transpired after, but it was definitely a loss for that person. And I would say it was a loss for me. That was a relationship that I did really enjoy. And in that situation, maybe there was things that I was doing that I didn't, things that I thought I was doing that I wasn't. And in those situations, you could have real feelings of, well, I don't feel like they're showing me this, or they're showing me this, or showing me this. You communicate. Don't let the enemy get in your head. Your man or your girl not doing something. She don't love you for real. He don't love you. He don't want to be with you. See. That's why communicate. I had watched this video, and the woman was talking about when her and her husband would go through different battles, and things would come up, and I thought, he don't love me. He don't this. He don't that. Then they'll have the conversation, and they say, hey, I want to confront the lie that you don't love me. I know that you love me, but this is the lie that's in my head right now. And then giving your partner the opportunity to reassure you, oh, I didn't mean that when I said this, or I'm sorry when I did this. Or, I didn't mean that when I did that, or that's not what I meant with that tone, or whatever the case may be. When it comes to relationships, you can't just be salty about something and then I'm out. When are you ever going to be in a relationship that you're looking for? If you out. Every time something get hard, every time somebody says something that you don't like, every time you have a moment of insecurity or a moment of doubt, you're just running out the door. So that's my little relationship chat on sabotage. Renew your mind, work on yourself, communicate, and believe that you're deserving of the good things that you're asking for. And again, you might be in a relationship that's terrible. Leaving a terrible relationship is not sabotage. You got to leave bad relationships who are reinforcing the bad thoughts or the negative thoughts that you're having about yourself. Just because you think you're a bad person and you with a bad dude, that's not the same. Get up out of there and renew your mind. So yeah, that's sabotage 101. And yes, I got my pink little pajamas on since it's still Valentine's week until February's over.